Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
Looks like Dallas is doing some resting.
I mean, you
morning.
win one time.
One time.
Act like you've been there, please.
Yeah. Rest in peace to the A's 11-game losing streak.
Yep. Congrats.
They finally win one on Sunday. And I'm assuming there was a large celebration because there's no sign of life from Dallas Braden this morning. So but he earned it. He earned it. You know, that's going 11 straight days without a win. I don't know that like what that would. I've been through 10-game losing streaks before.
Yeah.
And you do get kind of loopy on the other side of that. So like, I mean, I feel for him given the A's situation, big picture, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Did you see that article? I was like looking for the quotes that kind of justified the title of it, but like the title of the article is like, the A's are fucking fed up with their minor league ballpark in Sacramento.
I did see that.
Yeah. I was like scanning it for the quotes where someone actually snapped and was fed up with it. I didn't get the same vibe from the quotes, but if we're just going to run with the clickbait title, the A's are fucking fed up with that goddamn ballpark in Sacramento, Jayhay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I feel like you're fed up with most ballparks in the middle of an 11-game losing streak, right? And I think a good chunk of those occurred at home, did they not? Maybe all of them?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. There were some balls that, like Kotze was saying, like if you hit a ball and I think it's the left field corner, he's like, I can't even see it. So the fans at home are like, why isn't he arguing this play? But it's like, I can't fucking see it from my vantage point in the dugout. It's just, that's tough.
Yeah. So the final 6 losses in the losing streak occurred at home. So certainly not all of them, but more than half. But yeah, that would be frustrating as tension is building. I mean, is it any great surprise that people are coming out in mid-May, late May, saying that there is a level of dissatisfaction with the ballpark? I think probably not. You know, tough spot.
I think it was Severino was saying, like, I have to change my entire routine because the clubhouse is out in the outfield. It's like I thought at least if they should have, even if it wasn't something you could accommodate the players with immediately, don't you kind of like have construction going while the season is going on?
Yeah, I think that's a logistical question, because I honestly wonder what level of construction you can accomplish in like the duration of a road trip, right? Which is basically what we're talking about. And I think there are other events still happening at that ballpark, correct? It's not just the A's playing their baseball games there. They host other events.
I can't imagine, especially if you're serious about winning.
Oh,
I can't imagine.
Well, nice caveat.
I can't imagine that, like, I don't know, some rinky-dink band playing a concert to 3,000 people is more important than taking care of the big league ball club that plays there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, listen, it's obviously there's somebody with way more insight on this who's probably going to be, you know, in a bad spot to comment on it fully. My take on it would be that if the process that got us to the games being played in Sacramento, like, that to me is reflective of a mindset and a prioritization pathway that doesn't necessarily prioritize what is absolutely best for the players in the short term. Like, and I, on one hand, I feel for Luis Severino. On the other hand,
he chose to play for the A's.
Yeah, the curmudgeon in me, the old man in me wants to say, I'm not interested in hearing that from you, particularly less than, like, basically 2 months into the season in year one, when you were paid, by all accounts, a genuine premium to go pitch there relative to other offers that you received. So you had the opportunity to take less money to pitch in perhaps a better or more known quantity facility. You chose to take more money. I think in year one, you probably just got to eat that one.
Yeah.
It's a little different if you're just a guy who's on the team. Yeah, probably year 2 and 3 as well. But like, but if you're a guy who's just on the team and this is now just your situation, I'm more like sympathetic to that line of complaint. But if you're somebody who actively chose to come to this situation because they paid you the most money, kind of just like deal.
Yeah. Like if you're Jacob Wilson, you almost have to feel like you haven't even been called up to the big leagues yet.
Yeah. I mean, yes, but like, didn't people like, I'm certainly throwing no shade at the people of Oakland or the Coliseum on this, but didn't people make the same claim?
Yes.
Yeah. So like, okay.
Gotta be worse. At least like the A's had a fucking clubhouse that you could go into from the dugout.
Sure. It probably does feel like a little bit of a way station, like a little bit of a purgatory setup. But it's also their reality it's not just this season. So like if it was a just this season sort of scenario, then I think you could easily kind of, I don't know. I feel like you just kind of have to settle in, even if it's not ideal, because your previous circumstances weren't ideal from a facility standpoint either. Even if in some ways they look, maybe better now.
Yeah. It's too bad, really. It's too bad, really, because those fans, they deserve it. They deserve something better, and they're not getting it. So they did get a win, though. So I'm happy for them in that regard. Shout out to the A's for the win on Sunday.
It's a big one. You need to start there. You need to start there.
So where I don't want to start is the Skubal performance, because
why is that?
How could we do that without Dallas? You have to think he's going to regain consciousness at some point.
I thought you meant from like an editorial standpoint. You didn't think it was appropriate.
No. That under normal circumstances, that's probably the lead topic. But how betrayed would Dallas feel if he hops on in let's say 35 minutes and he's like, "You guys aren't talking about Skubal? How are you gonna talk about Skubal without me, brother?" So we'll just leave that lingering until he hopefully wakes up. And
a nice olive branch to a hungover Dallas Braden when he joins the pod. Like, hey, we saved Skubal for you, pal. Have at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fine.
You can start there.
Let's get to something else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like he would also want to talk about Oneil Cruz.
He would. He is kind of an Oneil Cruz guy.
Yeah. So I
hit
feel
a ball
like
very hard.
We can save 2 treats for Dallas.
All right. Oneil Cruz and Skubal.
That's like his greasy hungover meal that we're going to feed him when he awakes from his stupor.
And if he doesn't, then we'll hit it at the end of the pod.
There you go. Ronald Acuña Jr. is back.
It's good to have him back.
It's great to have him back.
I have to say my initial reaction, and then obviously I'll lay out, is that pitch by Nick Pivetta was so bad that I feel I'm open to the idea that it was grooved intentionally. Like I saw a post that kind of broke it down of course, whatever. I took it here, but like I saw somebody break it down from like from an analysis stats angle or whatever about like release point and like pitch location and angle and all of this stuff about how it was basically like the worst pitch he had ever personally seen in his evaluation. But it was so awesome that Acuña started it off, and then the very next day, homered again. Baseball's better with Ronald Acuña Jr.
I agree. I'm happy. I'm happy that he's back. I'm happy that, like, here's the thing about Acuña's return is that if he came back and sucked, like if he had a return and started playing how Rafi Devers' season started, now you have the drama stories creeping into the Braves clubhouse. We don't need that.
Well, and I saw, I'm glad you went there to him to whether he sucks or not, because I saw Eno tweeted, and I thought it was a great thing. I think I retweeted it, that he's already hit a ball harder than he did at any point all of last season. So, that's a great, like, top end batted ball velocity is a very good sticky indicator for, like performance, and in this case, probably health. And it does seem like, Ronald Acuña may be back as opposed to just some sort of diminished version. Obviously 2 home runs kind of says that in a traditional sense, but you can, batted ball velocity a little stickier.
What's crazy is Ronald Acuña Jr. has already eclipsed his WAR from last year, playing 3 games this year.
That is pretty crazy.
He was a 0 WAR last year.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now too. That is.
I don't know what's crazier, the fact that he was a 0 WAR last year, or the fact that he's gotten to half a win above replacement in 3 games this year.
Yeah, I mean, hitting 2 homers every 3 games. That is an outstanding pace. That's like what, that'll get you there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 100-something home runs a season.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It would set the all-time record.
Comfortably.
Uh-huh.
Where's the NBA playoffs at right now?
We are in the conference finals.
Okay.
It is the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference.
That series is 2-1.
That series is 2-1. Thunder took the first 2. Minnesota stormed back, and the classic must-win game 3. That's not actually mathematically must-win. And they absolutely demolished them. It was so bad I turned it off. And the Eastern Conference, actually kind of a similar situation. The Indiana Pacers are up 2-1 on the New York Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
Pacers were up 2-0. And last night were, I believe, up 20 points at one point. Certainly they were up a lot when I was watching, and the Knicks stormed back and saved their season, and it's now 2-1. And we're going into game 4 in both situations.
Mm. See, if I were a basketball fan, that would be poor viewing.
In what sense?
Like the Celtics should be here, but they're not. But even if they did make it, they are down Jason Tatum. So it's kind of just like the Pacers get to cakewalk to the finals.
That's not quite how I see it. I could certainly see how maybe you and perhaps our producer would see it that way. But yeah, I mean, if I'm a Celtics fan, I feel cheated of a run for a back-to-back title because my best player and one of the, 5 or 6 best players in the league or whatever Tatum is at this point got hurt. And that sucks and totally resets the timeline for the entire team and probably closes out this era of Celtics basketball in all reality.
Wow.
Well, the next era can exist with Jason Tatum, but I'm not saying that won't happen. But the surrounding pieces, I think, will be drastically different than they were for the title run and the defense.
Wow. Well, Underdog just dropped their playoff basketball promo. With the extender, you can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. Start a playoff series by using your Game 1 boost and continue boosting each subsequent game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boost. You're going to want to see how serious it gets when that Game 7 hits. Hop on Underdog, the best place to make picks during playoff basketball. And get started right now. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's JARED to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. I did see that Shohei Ohtani is throwing to live hitters. The report was that he's 96, 97.
I saw the same report.
Yep. Live bullpen session on Sunday, touched 96 to 97. I did see a clip. I want to see if I can find that now because it was the second that I woke up this morning, and it was referred to as a sweeper, but it broke in towards a right-handed hitter. I was like, that's not what a sweeper does. Now I can't find it. I just searched Shohei Ohtani sweeper, and I'm not seeing it. But there was supposedly video from this live BP.
Well, that's tantalizing and all that. But as I think we talked about before, and I believe I saw you tweet over the weekend.
Here it is.
Oh, go ahead.
MLB has a video of it, but it's not in this clip was it referred to as a sweeper, but it is it's a pitch where the movement is running in towards a right-handed hitter, and it's disgusting. And then like Shohei's on the mound going,
how would that? Yeah, I guess I don't understand how that would be referred to as a sweeper either.
Yeah, it's definitely not a sweeper.
And I mean, he threw one. Didn't he throw a sweeper previously?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Right. Okay. So I guess we'll see. Maybe it was an optical illusion. But I saw you tweet over the weekend, and I know we talked about it. Like, I just want to see high leverage pitching Shohei Ohtani as well, and whatever form that comes in, whatever pitches he's throwing, it's very encouraging that he took another step. And I think it's shaping up that if the Dodgers are going to, doesn't it feel like if the Dodgers are going to fulfill what they obviously want to do this season, that it is probably going to involve Shohei Ohtani pitching in spots that at least I maybe didn't anticipate him pitching at the start of the season.
Continue. Like, what do you mean? Give me an example.
I just think given where their rotation could land and their bullpen could land as the season goes on, like I don't know that I internally ever expected to see Shohei pitch this season in anything meaningful when we started out the year. Like I know what the timelines were at the beginning of the year. I think in my head, I was just like, well, this is going to be like a work back year. We will literally see him pitch, but I'm not sure that given their state of their rotation at the beginning of the year, the people they signed, the depth that they built up at the bullpen, that I thought that there would really be a need for him to pitch high leverage, important, whether it be starts or relief appearances. But the way it's playing out right now, sorry, this is a long-winded clarification, but like the way their team is playing out right now, the percentage odds of that happening feel like they have gone up. And maybe that's just in my head, but I now feel like that's a real possibility.
But you don't feel like they're rushing him back to fill a need. No, it's just kind of like
I'm not saying that. Yeah,
this is kind of just where he is in his recovery. And if he's throwing 96, 97, then like once we start getting to the break and shit, and if, I don't know, depending on where the need is, like let's say that need is in the rotation. I don't think that it's going to be all gas, no brakes with this guy. Like I think it's still going to be, it's one start a week, or maybe there's an opener situation and he's the bulk guy. Like you're trying to just get 4 innings out of him or something like that. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see how he's used. Obviously the Dodgers haven't, committed to how they will use him because they probably still don't necessarily know when they will be using him. And what the rest of the bullpen rotation situation will look like when Shohei is ready to go. So, yeah, a lot of moving parts, but very intriguing that he seems to be healthy-ish.
Yeah, incredibly intriguing. Probably the most intriguing thing.
Yeah,
Ohtani. Yeah, pretty intriguing.
If he's all systems go, how are you using him? Just slotting him right back into the rotation?
I mean, I think, have you heard anything that suggests that they're going to use him in the bullpen, or is that just conjecture?
That was like a rumor, not a rumor. I think Roberts was like asked about it, but like that was kind of floating around last October.
Yeah. Okay.
Like in the postseason.
I just want to make sure that I hadn't missed anything. Cause like my assumption and my approach would be that, he has thrived in the starting role before. I think until he proves otherwise, that's the path that I would go with him. That's the routine that he has. And this is the big thing, I think, is that's the routine that he has familiarity with and has thrived with before. Like we would need Dallas to break down the specifics in terms of routine differences, but there's obviously significant routine differences between a bullpen arm and a starting pitcher. And I'm not sure that when we're talking about, at this point, probably the second best pure hitter on the planet behind Aaron Judge, I'm not sure that I'm messing with that sort of routine stuff, particularly in season coming off of an injury. If the starting stuff doesn't look like it's working this year, or there's a level of, routine discomfort or something that he needs to like address in the offseason, then maybe that's something you broach as the contract goes on, because I'm with you. The idea of like a shutdown end of game Ohtani that's great. It's probably not the most valuable use of his skill set until he shows us that it is, kind of thing. So that's how I would go. Plus the rotation, as I alluded to earlier, like if Ohtani is healthy or healthy-ish coming back from this and can start actual baseball games, Like, in your opinion, where does is he the second best starter on this healthy person right now? If it's close to the Ohtani we saw before, is he the third best? Like,
second best. Like, who would you slot above him?
Like, I know Tony Gonsolin has been really good on a rate basis when he has been available in his career, but I'm not actually taking Tony Gonsolin over Shohei Ohtani in a spot where I have to decide which of those guys is pitching. And the same goes for Dustin May. And, all due respect to Kershaw and for different reasons, Landon Knack. Those guys are just not in the conversation. And like, even somebody like Roki, if he comes back, I know he's going to start throwing soon or whatever. Like, that's a prove it situation in a way that Ohtani is kind of a different prove it situation. I don't know. Like, he could be the fifth best starter on this team by the time the postseason goes around, depending on what Snell and Glasnow do. He could be the second best. I think there's just a lot of runway for him at this point.
Yeah. Well, they transferred Snell to the 60-day, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't an announcement that his season is over, was it?
No.
Oh, okay. I just thought it was retroactive because it was going to be longer. Like yeah. Okay. I did see that. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I think especially when you consider like Roki, Snell, Glasnow, like, not that Snell's been like an injury prone guy, but do you consider a 6-man if Shohei comes just for everyone's health benefit? Like, I don't know that like, who's losing their spot?
To me, I mean, I think you do consider it. I also think it's probably a case where we're just as likely to never see that scenario unfold as we are to have that problem. Like, and that I know everybody, oohed and awed, and us included, about, lining up all their starting pitching options at the beginning of the season. But I think whether it was mentioned explicitly or implied, I think a lot of people understood that most of these people weren't going to be making 30, 35 starts. Maybe none of them were making that many. And certainly Yamamoto looks on track to do that to have that kind of season. And that's great, but that's one dude. And everybody else is kind of piece of the puzzle stuff and, combining to make the necessary number of starts that a team needs over the season. And I just hope that, I hope obviously for competitive sake that Snell and Glasnow are back and pitching for this team, because I like watching both of them pitch, particularly Glasnow.
Yeah. Like, if everyone were healthy, realistically, you could have an 8-man rotation. Like,
yeah. It's the best.
Yamamoto, Kershaw, Gonsolin, May, Glasnow, Snell, Ohtani, Roki. I
mean, we were doing NBA talk a couple of minutes ago. Like, the James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving Nets team is like the greatest theoretical team in basketball history. Like, when they were on the court together for whatever it was, the 18 games that they played, they were outstanding and probably could have won the title. They just never played together. And I'm not writing this Dodgers mega rotation off, into the dustbin of history like that, because there's a long way to go particularly with a lot of these guys. But at least as far as this season, it feels like it could be kind of like a one guy in, one guy out sort of situation.
Yeah. They'll just have to win the World Series.
Yeah.
With their B team. Yeah. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Yep.
Just like you'll be fine if you start getting Hims into your rotation right here.
Sure.
Yeah. Man, if you're starting to notice your hair thinning when you look in the mirror, you're not alone. Life just gets busier and busier, and it can feel like there's not enough time in the day to do something about it. So try Hims Hair Loss Solutions. You can avoid jumping through a bunch of frustrating hoops and get access to treatment without ever leaving your home. Hims provides you with convenient access to a range of hair loss treatments that work all from the comfort of your couch. Hims makes treating hair loss simple with doctor-trusted options and clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow your hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. Choose from personalized chewable oral spray and serum treatments to find what works what's best for you. The process is simple and 100% online, and there are no uncomfortable doctor visits. Answer a few questions, and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment is sent directly to you for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, and they can get you your confidence back too with visibly thicker and fuller hair. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/BID. That's HIMS.com/BID for your personalized hair loss treatment options. hims.com/BID. Well then, sorry to hear about all the Dodgers' problems.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that must be so depressing.
We cover all teams equally.
We do. The Mets took 2 or 3 from these very same Dodgers.
And they would have been very mad if we didn't mention that part. So
right back on the horse, those New York Mets.
Yeah. Well, it's nice. It's the drama simmers down with Juan Soto related stuff when you take 2 or 3 from the Dodgers.
I mean, I feel like I've kind of been beating that drum for a little bit. Like, I think the Juan Soto stuff is overblown. If I were a fan, overblown. So the
doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it. By the way, that's not being hypocritical. We talk about it, doesn't mean it's not overblown. Those things can coexist.
The stat line is overblown. I think if I were a Mets fan, like the demeanor and the body language, like that stuff to me is not overblown.
Yeah.
If that were my guy, my team, then I would definitely be looking at that, being like, why isn't he happy? Like, why isn't he seem like he's having a good time? But statistically, where Juan Soto's at, would I be bothered by that? No. And if you are, then I feel like you're just not someone that really paid close attention to Juan Soto's career.
I mean, yes, I think that's true. I also think like, unless you are like a hardcore baseball fan, like I think a lot of our listeners and certainly the two of us, I can definitely understand being underwhelmed when he comes from directly across the city and puts up the best season of his career, and the first 50 plus games with you are arguably they're not arguably, they are inarguably on track to be the worst season of his career. So like you and I can sit here and like in our statistical ivory towers and be like, well, like I did it last week, his weighted, his OPS plus was 130, whatever, or weighted runs created. Like that's great. It's now down to 123 and his OPS is down to 777. So like, that is a little unsightly. Like he's hitting 50 points below what he did last year. And I'm not a batting average guy, but that is a lower quality of baseball to watch, certainly above and beyond the power outage.
Yeah. But yes, it would be frustrating. No, I wouldn't be like long-term concerned. It's fucking Juan Soto.
Yeah, I agree. I would not be long-term concerned either. I would be in the interim a little deflated.
Yeah.
That something I got super excited about. And by the way, like just from from a inside the fan sort of perspective, like I would imagine that if you are a Mets fan living in New York or around around Yankees fans, that Juan Soto's performance to this point has been the opposite of what you wanted. What you wanted was a cudgel to use against Yankee fans saying, this superstar chose us and he's fucking awesome. And we are also an awesome baseball team that is better or on par with the Yankees. Instead, what you have so far is Yankees fans probably being able to say, oh yeah, you guys overpaid Juan Soto. He's got a 770 whatever OPS. It's not an own situation. And the Yankees are like, well, we paid Max Fried instead. And he's, the best pitcher in baseball through the first 2 months of the season or whatever it is. So it's like, from a subjective standpoint, shit talking standpoint, I understand. It's very underwhelming so far, even if the stat line is like, yeah, he's still a well above average player.
Not that this matters because obviously they play in different divisions in different leagues, but the Mets are a half game off the Yankees' pace.
Oh, I understand. Like, I didn't mean to imply that they're not equal quality teams, but
not because of Juan Soto.
Right. Or at least not being driven by that. I know, he's been worth a win and a half or whatever in 52 games. That's a 4.5 win pace. That's great. Okay. That'll fit right in along his his Hall of Fame career, but it's not the 8 or 9 wins that he delivered last year. And it's not even what he delivered in 2021. So
yeah,
he was like the MVP favorite going into the season or behind Ohtani.
Yeah. So some people on this podcast even picked him.
Yeah. Okay. And that's not what he's delivering so far. So that's what the expectations were. This is what he's delivered. People can be underwhelmed. I think that's disingenuous to say they can't. Not saying you were saying that.
Yeah. I did pick him.
Well, it's not over in that regard. It's not over like it would be if he played in the AL.
Correct.
The AL might be fucking over. Like,
it's been over. It's been over since like the 3rd week of the season.
I mean, Aaron Judge, not that I'm wishing this because he's like, even as a non-Yankees fan, he's like my favorite thing to watch. But he could miss like 6 weeks or 2 months of the season and probably still be like in a good spot to win the AL MVP.
Yeah, it depends on when he misses them, because as we've seen in the past, that Yelich Cody Bellinger race in 2019, like Yelich missed the last whatever it was 5 weeks of the season when he broke his kneecap.
Yep,
definitely had a better year, but because he missed like the last 4 or 5 weeks of September, they're like, well, I guess you're ineligible. It's like, well, that shouldn't be how this works.
Yeah, no, he would definitely be subject to some narrative nonsense if he were to miss time down the stretch. But point being, like, Soto could still technically win the NL MVP, I think. Not going to happen probably, but I think it still could. I mean, not that the WAR leaderboard is the end all be all. Please don't come at me. But like Pete Crow Armstrong and Perdomo are the two leaders in the NL right now. I don't like. I've been pumping Pete Crow like the best of them, but like I don't think that those guys are unassailable as MVP candidates. And I know the next three are Ohtani, Carroll, and Tatis, and Freeman and Tucker. But like, you know, point being, the leaderboard is not exactly firmed up yet.
No. Yeah, I mean, if Dallas were here, because I know he's not looking at the WAR leaderboards every morning when he wakes up, but I would be like, after Aaron Judge in the American League, who leads the American League in F-WAR? And he would throw out a name, probably a superstar player. I guarantee you he wouldn't give me the correct answer, because I wouldn't have guessed this. It's Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh being number 2.
I mean, what a like career trajectory for him, by the way. Probably someone that we and just baseball in general, despite the good nickname, like outside of his nickname, probably is not mentioned quite enough. But like obviously his game is on a different level this season so far than anything he's done in the previous 2 years, despite being a 30 plus homer guy in those seasons.
Yeah, he's got a fucking 171 weighted runs created plus.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's
like, that's crazy.
I mean, he's currently, I mean, we could say whatever, 52 games, 226 plate appearances, but what he's doing right now is legitimately on pace to be one of the greatest offensive seasons that a catcher has ever delivered.
Yeah. Like baseball from an offensive standpoint, he's on he's in the Shohei Ohtani tier for offense.
Yeah. And he plays primarily catcher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That would be pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Shout out to the big dumper. You think he signed too early?
I think that's easy to say. I also just wonder what the actual market for that player, like, cause like prior to this year, we were talking about a 30 plus homer guy, but it was with a little bit of a rickety stat line as far as like, not certainly for a catcher, but just in terms of like a building, like his on base percentage was 312 and 306 the previous 2 seasons. I think and his age, it's not like he's 24 or 25. I think he probably signed. I would say he took the right deal. I'm not regretting that if I'm him.
Yeah.
I think we're just probably in the midst of a career season, which is kind of cool.
That is pretty cool. You know what's not what's not cool?
What?
When you hit 4 home runs and actually, excuse me, when you hit 5 home runs in 4 games and still can't get called up to the big leagues.
Who are we talking about? Are we talking about Cags?
Caglianone. Jac.
That is pretty frustrating.
Caglianone, who hit 2 home runs on Sunday, actually. He is hitting since getting called up. So he started the year in Double-A, played 38 games there, got called up, and is he's hitting 346 with a 1280 OPS in Triple-A since getting called up, and he's already hit 5 home runs in 6 games in Triple-A. So
you're telling me you think he's ready?
I don't know that, like, I'm sure if you are an executive whose job it is to evaluate whether or not a player is ready, maybe you're looking at that saying, can he hit 12 home runs in 2 weeks? I don't know. Can he do that? Let's see what he's got. And they're not just like homers. They are fucking mammoth shots. Like the one that I tweeted yesterday was like 460 feet. He's destroying baseballs at a rapid pace.
I am certainly willing to be proven wrong that he is not ready, and upon call up shows that, you know, there's still too much swing and miss or whatever the problem ends up being. But like, to me, the Royals offensive issues are so urgent and dire that I think you just kind of roll the dice sooner rather than later and get him up, because I think the noise, I saw Hosmer was tweeting about it. I think the noise certainly around the Kansas City kind of media fan base, whatever, is getting loud, even if, you know, we might not hear it at the same level that we're hearing the Roman Anthony stuff. I think that's very much present. And I also just think like the Royals offense is what it is at this point in a lot of ways. And what it is an offense that needs an enormous amount of help. And it ranks 27th in wins above replacement as a unit, 26th in slugging, 26th in on base percentage, and dead last in home runs. So you mentioned a guy hit home runs in 4 straight. That's something the Royals could really use. They have 32 total home runs on the season. And furthermore, I don't usually feel this way about baseball players necessarily, because it's so hard to, you know, it's not like basketball where you can just kind of build a team around one guy. But I do feel like Bobby Witt Jr. is such a generational talent that you do anything you can that's within the realm of sanity to not waste prime seasons of a player this good. And I know they have him locked up long term and they don't have to have that level of anxiety, but this offense just really, really needs more than just this guy, but it needs him as soon as they can get him up.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's not higher on the, I mean, being the number 10 prospect in baseball is awesome, but
yeah,
I would have thought he would be higher just for what he's doing.
Well, maybe that's a case where they're wrong.
I mean, they sometimes are.
Oh, they're wrong all the time. Mm-hmm. Wrong as often as they're not. I mean, at least they got your boy number 1.
They have Roman Anthony number 1. I see Marcel Meyer. I see Max Clark at number 7, which I thought he would be in Double-A by now for his skill set and you know how highly touted he was coming out of the draft. But I mean, he was a high school player, so. But he just felt special. He felt like a burn through it kind of guy. But he's in high A right now.
Man, I mean, if we're just riffing on the top 10, you know, I had a random Jordan Lawler thought over the weekend.
Yeah, what was it?
Well, I just don't understand what's going on. Like, I know they called him up and, you know, they talked about him playing all over, but pretty consistently with, you know, regularity. And I'm, other than playing in consecutive games yesterday and the day before, he'd gone the 13th, the 14th, the latter getting 1 plate appearance, the 17th, the 20th, the 24th, 25th. So he's playing like every 3 days or 4 days, basically, and has exactly 2 games where he's received 4 plate appearances. So like a lot of these are getting into games as, you know, pinch hitters or stuff like that. I don't know, man. Like, he didn't have success in his previous very brief call-up 2 seasons ago in 34 plate appearances. I don't really understand what they're doing with him developmentally if they're going to call him up and jerk him around like this. And I get it. Like, it's a tough spot. The Diamondbacks have lots of good players. I just don't, this doesn't seem like a plan that's going to maximize his ability to stick and get better.
Yeah. And based on what he did before he got called up this year, I mean, he was hitting the shit out of the ball.
Yeah. And it's, you know, this is the 6th overall pick in the 2021 draft. So it's not like some guy that you didn't presumably have really high expectations for, both at the time of selection and throughout his journey. You know, to your point, he had a 992 OPS at Reno before the call up. I understand how the PCL works with some of the numbers there, but nevertheless pretty good. So I don't know, not the end of the world, but that is not the end of the world, but like I do feel like, as an aside, and maybe for later this week, like the Diamondbacks kind of need to start winning. And I know it's only May 26th, but they've lost 5 straight and are now 6 back in the division. And I know maybe the aspirations weren't winning the division with the Dodgers, but I think, sooner rather than later, you need to keep your eye on the other aspirations, which is the wild card and stuff like that. And I just don't know. I don't know. Just kind of an aside, given that they were swept by the Cardinals.
Yeah, they've been struggling of late, but the wild card picture over there in the National League is kind of a disaster.
Sure.
Like,
as you'd want it in May, right?
If you're looking at the National League wild card right now, you're seeing that all you really need is a winning record, and you're in. You're in. There's so much slop in the National League, whereas over in the American League, it's going to be a little bit more of a dogfight. Connor's Texas Rangers are 2 games under, but only 3 games back. The Angels are 3 games back. The Blue Jays are 3 games back. The Red Sox are 2.5 out. The Rays are now 2 out. The Stros are a half game out. And then the Royals at 29 and 25 hold that last wild card spot. And then it's also tight with the Guards and the Twins, who have the same record. So, yeah, a little bit more of a dogfight in the American League than I would have anticipated. But, I mean, it's still, in both leagues, a pretty low bar to get that third spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I think still a lot to shake out. And I think looking at it, like if I'm a Braves fan, I'm feeling really good about what I have to get through to get back into the picture in terms of teams and wild card, even if you're down on your chances of winning the division with how strong the Mets and Phillies look, the path to the wild card looks pretty soft in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. How do we feel about the Cubs this weekend, Jayhay?
I mean, that offense is it's every day.
It's every day, bro.
I mean, it's 6 runs a game at this point going into today. That's best in the league. And I know runs are old fashioned, but a lot of, I could run through the other stats. I'm not going to take the time right now, but they're mostly either first or second or third in basically every meaningful offensive stat. It's the Yankees, it's the Cubs, and it's the Dodgers on most offensive stats that matter. So when you're cooking with those 2 clubs, you're doing a lot of things. And, there's an excitement level, I think, to watching the Cubs offense that maybe isn't outside of Ohtani, maybe, and Judge specifically, maybe isn't there with those other teams, because you're getting it from sources that are either new to the team or new to being awesome, amazing baseball players. Kyle Tucker, Pete Crow Armstrong being the examples that I'm citing there. But yeah, the Cubs stuff is great. And, it's kind of what we were hoping for when we did the season preview and talked about the talent that was on this team relative to the rest of the division and whether that was going to manifest itself. And offensively, it certainly has. And it's been more than enough to float what's been, a banged up, little bit beleaguered rotation.
They've scored 90 more runs than the Mets.
In terms of 1-2 in the NL, or just in terms of the Mets?
Just comparative to the Mets.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The Cubs have scored 321 runs this season. So that's 90 more runs than the Mets and the A's. Yeah, they've got a nice little offense going over there.
I mean, by wins above replacement, they have 2 of the 7 best players in the NL with Tucker and PCA. And if you're just focused on offensive contributions and, look at OPS, they've got 3 of the top 12 because Suzuki pops in there with a 906 OPS. Like this is, and I don't think there's anything about, like, you can say that PCA's offense will regress a little bit, and maybe I buy into that. Maybe I don't. But the other 2 are kind of like proven commodities at this point in a lot of ways. And I just don't see really them slowing down. And as we said, with these guys slotting into place, like these complementary guys just start to make a lot more sense. And like Dansby Swanson being like the 6th or 7th best offensive player on this team instead of the 3rd or 4th, despite being the highest paid or whatever, is a much more appropriate spot. And I know how hot he's been lately. But it's great. I think I was talking about when we wrapped up the pod last week. When we came back, I was talking about that I still get a little emotional when the Cubs win, and particularly like a Friday or a Saturday, during the weekend, or a Friday day game going into the weekend. Cubs win, go Cubs go, starts going, and like I lived in the suburbs for like a couple of years, and that's how I feel about that experience. It's just an all-time baseball experience, and when the Cubs are going, it's so much better.
Yeah. Seeing the flags, all the W flags that the fans bring, it's very cool.
I still sing like in my living room, or I'll like hum, as when it's, because a lot of times the Cubs are, they have their own window. That's not happening today, but often on a Friday or something like that, there'll be a day game. Just special stuff.
Yeah. Also, I kind of pointed out when Justin Steele went down.
Yeah.
I was very intrigued to see, like, how do they sustain? Like, how do they weather the storm here? And the answer to that question is they actually have the best run differential in the National League without Justin Steele, which is a huge tip of the cap to their depth to be able to just eat that blow, which would sink many other teams, but not this Cubs team.
Well, and I think it's honestly not to take credit away from the starting rotation, because there is credit to be had there, but like, I do think this is on some level like a team kind of bludgeoning opponents. And yesterday was a perfect example of that, where, they were down 8-4 in the game, and then you blink and it's 11-8 because of I think it was 3-4 or 4-3 in consecutive innings. And it seems like this offense is doing that, obviously at a league leading pace, but also just subjectively just feels relentless and inevitable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did give it about an hour, and there's still no signs of life in Sacramento.
Yeah, I'm super pessimistic about him hopping on at this point, if I'm being honest.
So let's give some love to old Tarek Skubal.
Yeah.
For his Maddox, which I believe is the most strikeouts ever in a complete game shutout.
You don't have to believe, buddy. You can just know.
Yeah, the most strikeouts ever in a complete game shutout that was thrown with no walks and fewer than 100 pitches thrown. So that was and the fact that something I know Greg Maddux never did was record a strikeout in the final out of a complete game shutout with velocity of 103 miles per hour. I'm pretty confident Greg Maddux never did that.
I mean, it's too bad we don't have the guy who threw the perfect game on here to talk about it, but that's as good as pitching gets, more or less. I mean, that was utterly dominant. Cleveland had no chance in that game at any point. And like, I was talking to my dad about this yesterday, and I think I don't think Cleveland is a particularly good matchup for Skubal, as if anybody is, but like, the thing about that game last year was that in the postseason I'm talking about, where they got to him, was that in the first 4 innings, it felt like they have no fucking chance to win this baseball game. Like, that's how it felt. And basically what yesterday was 9 full innings of that feeling, avoiding the hiccup, which is how I would have expected.
Was that Lane Thomas?
Skubal, yes, it was.
Yeah.
I think to date remains his lone contribution to the Cleveland Guardians. But nevertheless, but yeah, I mean, I got tons of Skubal nugs, or 5 or 6 of them. Please. If you want to run through them now.
All of them. I want them all.
So, he's the first pitcher since Edinson Volquez in 2007 to have a shutout with 10 or more strikeouts and fewer than 100 pitches. So you said most strikeouts ever. That is also true. But he's the first since Volquez to have 10 and fewer than 100 pitches. He is also the first left-handed pitcher in almost 11 years, Madison Bumgarner in 2014, and the first AL left-handed pitcher in almost 18 years, Eric Bedard in 2007. Yeah, shout out Eric Bedard reference. If you're a youngin and or missed the few moments where Eric Bedard was actually healthy in his career.
Eric, I don't do child support payments, Bedard.
Oh, is that part of his legacy?
I want to say when he was with the Red Sox, he like missed.
That stinks.
He missed a start or two because he got taken to court for not paying child support. Let me look that up.
Well, I'm glad you made me honest on that. I will certainly come out as pro child support, and I will call on Eric to do the right thing. Yes, and
Bedard served with child support papers before the game.
That's really disappointing because
in the middle of the Reds. Remember the Red Sox collapse in 2011?
I do. Oh yes.
Before taking them out, before taking them out Tuesday night against the Baltimore Orioles, Boston Red Sox starting pitcher Eric Bedard reportedly was served legal papers seeking increased child support by a process server wearing a Yankees shirt. That seems very pointed.
Oh, come on.
Bedard, who was making his first start since September 3rd because of sore left knee, lasted just 8 outs in the game, failing to finish the third inning, in which he threw 51 pitches. Let's see. After the game, Bedard said his unexpected pregame visit was not a distraction, even as it came in the middle of a pennant race. If you play the sport, you have to put all that stuff aside. If you let the outside distractions get to you, you can't focus. The outside distractions, like taking care of your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say this is probably like a no heroes situation because the process server wearing a Yankees hat to fulfill it is a little classless. Kind of funny.
He talked to the New York Post about it. According to the New York Post, the person serving Bedard the papers, lifelong Yankees fan Tom Cabral, wasn't trying to rattle the Red Sox lefty. When I walked in, I was like, I'm a Yankees fan, but I'm not trying to give you a hard time, he told the Post. I told him that and said, sorry, I've got to do this, but he said it was no problem. I handed him the copies of all the documents and he signed them.
All right, Tom Cabral, name cleared.
Yep.
Good. Glad you brought that up. And I'm just going to say, like, now that we're on the Bedard thing, I think you remember in a different lifetime, I was known as the sheriff of Norwalk.
Yes, I do remember. Yes.
Yeah. And this is just particularly disappointing, given that Bedard went to Norwalk High School and Norwalk Community College. So I think I might be uniquely qualified to pursue this matter if it's still ongoing. So thank you for bringing it to my attention, and I'm going to be all over it. But anyway, if you're not familiar, that nasty stuff aside, if you're not familiar with Bedard's 2007 in particular with the Orioles, when he finished 5th in the Cy Young and had strikeout rates that may not catch your eye now, but were certainly league leading at the time, I would go back and check it out. But anyway, dominant. I mean, as unhittable as obviously Tarik Skubal when he was at his best. 18 years, Bedard in 2007 to have a shutout with 2 or fewer hits allowed, 0 walks, and 13 or more strikeouts. Here are the pitchers in MLB history to have a 6-start stretch in a single season featuring 63 or more strikeouts and 2 or fewer walks. That's one of the heaters that Skubal is currently on. He and Clayton Kershaw are the only pitchers ever, not just left-handed, only pitchers ever to do that in a single season. He is also, if you like game score, yesterday was the best start by a Tigers pitcher by game score in almost 67 years. Jim Bunning on July 20th, 1958. So more Nuggs elsewhere in the league before we head out, but those are certainly the Skubal Nuggs.
I enjoyed that performance. I'm sorry. I'm sure you did too.
I kind of did too, actually, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't. Like that was like I don't know if like it's not like it's like appointment viewing, but if I know I see Skubal there, like obviously I if the Red Sox are playing, they get the big TV. But I think if Skubal is pitching that well and it's past the 6th, then you're like, all right, like especially I think he finished the 7th with a strikeout that was like 102. And then you're like, okay, like let's see if he can like finish this off. That's when it takes big TV priority. So shout out to Slab Lab alum Tarik Skubal on quite the masterpiece. And I guess we can finish on Oneil Cruz here.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
So I think when we look at certain data, and there's always the caveat of, well, it's only since we started tracking this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's someone in the history of baseball that hit a ball hard, maybe in the steroid era? Like, did someone hit a ball harder than in the history of baseball than Oneil Cruz did on Saturday, Sunday, whatever it was?
I in these cases, I almost always default to the more recent players are doing the more extreme athletic feats,
Yeah.
pretty much across all sports, and I think that's probably the case here. I would, if I had to bet on it, I would say this is the hardest hit ball that's ever been tracked, or ever theoretically could have been tracked. Um, but I do wonder about some of those steroid guys. Like, I'd love to
Yeah.
see some batted ball data on like what Albert Bell was doing to a baseball, like, or
Yeah.
just whoever your guy is.
Canseco.
Yeah, just like, or what McGuire's peak looked like in terms of batted ball data. Like, yeah, I would be very, very curious on those guys. And I'm not,
Didn't
I
the
don't,
big cat hit a fucking ball that I think it was in Miami when they were playing at like the Dolphin Stadium,
yeah,
and it went up the fifth level tarp. Like it was measured at 530 feet. It was something ridiculous. Like some of these balls, if you go look at a compilation video of
this is the one. This is the one I thought it was. Yeah,
yeah, 500 plus feet homers. Like Jim Tomei hit a ball. It's the longest home run in progressive field history. I think it was like 511 feet.
Oh my!
And it went over the fucking
God.
flagpole in right center. Like, what's the batted ball data on a ball like that?
I'm watching Galarraga's home run off Kevin Brown right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, so let's see. I'm just gonna, like, obviously I'm gonna, this is worth nothing in terms of scientific value, but I want to pull up Oneil Cruz's home run again.
Yeah.
Here it is. Yeah, like I'm gonna be honest, those look to me like basically identical. Like obviously from different sides of the plate, but like if you just want to tell me that people are bigger and stronger now and thus it's harder hit, then I guess okay. I don't really have any counter for that. But like Galarraga was also a very large human being.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, probably bigger than his listed weight at a lot of points in his career. But like, I don't know, man.
Like the ball that Galarraga hit, everyone came out of the dugout and they looked like aliens had touched down on planet Earth. They were looking at the ball like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, and I'm okay with the idea that like, oh man, yeah, or like, let me pull up.
Yeah, the Jim Tomei one is another one where it's in like, I'm sure like Adam Dunn has some balls that I don't know. It's just different. Like a hard hit ball.
Dude,
like,
I just watched Albert hit one
off Lidge. What the ball that he hit off Lidge? Like, what's the bat?
Oh no,
what's the
no.
I'm
saying Pujols. I'm saying Albert Bell.
Oh,
sorry, that was unclear. But like, just because I brought him up earlier, I pulled up his 50th home run of 1995.
Okay.
Maybe it's just the way that he swings, which is obviously very distinct and powerful looking, but like, I don't know, man. Like,
Albert Bell crushes his 50th home run of
just watch that and let me get your reaction.
Oh,
right? Like,
yeah.
Some people are going to listen to this and be like, oh, look at these olds. Like, they just can't let it go that people are better now. I'm totally okay if people were just telling me that Oneil Cruz is harder, but I'm not necessarily willing to just assume that. Oh, man. Please go back and watch this Albert Bell home run or the Galarraga home run.
Yeah.
I mean, boy, oh
like
boy.
Manny hit a ball in Toronto that went up to the fifth level.
Yeah, Manny would be another one. For sure.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, man. I get what, like, this conversation makes more sense when like NBA fans are saying like the guys that play today are far more athletic and talented than the guys that played in the 90s and the 80s and whatever. And like, I'll give you that. But we're talking about just the human body. Like, how hard can you hit a ball with a stick? And these are grown ass men hitting baseballs a long way. And some of them, like they're not like, you know, little rainbow homers. Like they're fucking crushed on a line. Like they're still going up as they're clearing the fence type homers. So I don't know. I bet you someday they'll develop an algorithm or a way to calculate it just by the video.
Well, I hope it tells me what I want to hear, because otherwise I'll discredit the method.
Yeah.
I think that's how it
like
works.
if this Albert Bell home run, it's like, oh, that's an exit velo of 104. You're like, no, it's not.
Nope.
No, it's not.
Your method sucks.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
We need that technology. Because that would be great.
Garrett, get on that technology.
Yeah, Garrett will develop it. Yeah, I think that's also like a great, like how they, you know, integrated the all the Negro League players into MLB The Show. It's like if you're able to talk nerd to the new generation about the old generation, it's like now you want to go back and like look at maybe like a Mickey Mantle home run, and it's like, oh wow, sick. Like Mickey Mantle had an exit velo of 108 on the, like, you got to talk nerd to the new generation.
That's fine. If that's what it takes to get them interested in old baseball, that's fine by me. Because if you want exit velocity or you want hard hit balls, then the era you grew up watching is going to be ripe for picking on that one.
Yeah, we just need the data to back it up.
Yes, although I think subjectively, visually, people can watch the two clips that we just referenced and conclude for themselves that even if Oneil Cruz's was hit harder, it is marginally and not by magnitudes.
Yeah, let me find that video. I think it's just like longest MLB home runs. Longest MLB home runs. See. No, it doesn't come up right away. I gotta find it. Oh, is it? No, it's not this one either. I'll find it. There's a video that just has, it's 20 minutes of just 500-foot bombs, like for over the last 40, 50 years. Like dudes hitting balls over the roof in the old like Tiger Stadium and shit, like Cecil Fielder.
I know now is probably not the time to execute it. Holiday, other reasons, etc. But like, we should do like I think it would be good for social or whatever. And I think this is a topic that I think a lot of people can relate to. We should like cut like the top 5 hardest hit home runs of like the StatCast era or whatever, starting with Cruz, obviously, and working down, and then identify like whatever the 5 that you, me, whoever the crew want to represent like the old head home run hitting, like whether that's Bell and Galarraga or whoever, and clip those together and honestly see what people's reaction is to whether the balls are subjectively, visually being hit harder right now at the top end.
Yeah.
Because I think I think the baseline, like the league average or what like the median is, like I think all of that stuff is undeniably up. Like I think people hit the baseball generally much harder or harder than they used to, even, maybe 20, 30 years ago. But I am wondering about that top end, that like Albert Bell's hardest hit ball, Galarraga's hardest hit ball, Griffey, Frank Thomas, Manny, pre StatCast, Pujols, these type of people. What do those numbers look like? Adam, we've mentioned a lot of the guys, but that stuff I would be curious about at the top end.
Yeah, and I think, you also have to be conscious of visually, like how hard does it really look like it's being hit? Because some guys, like Bryce Harper, for example, we have all the data on like Bryce Harper home runs, but he hits the ball hard. But I think if Bryce Harper played in 1956 and we saw same swing, same point of contact, all that, we'd be like, that's got to be 130 off the bat.
Yeah.
Because it's so violent. His swing is so violent, and like he does hit the ball extremely hard. But the data will be like, yeah, no, like it's hard, but it's not like the hardest hit ball ever. Because if Bryce Harper again played for the 1956 Phillies, I would be sitting here being like, yeah, you guys can have your Oneil Cruzes, but back in the day, there was a guy by the name of Bryce Harper, and he hit the ball. Like if we had the data on that, you would see.
Totally. And that's why I'm willing to concede that on average, these people are hitting the ball noticeably harder than they used to.
Yeah.
At the absolute apex, because we're not talking about like, I know body care and all that sort of stuff is better now, but it's not like we're talking about the 1950s when players were going out and, just getting drunk as shit after the games or whatever, and then showing up to the ballpark the next day, or the 30s or the 20s or whatever. Like, we're talking about the 1990s. These people were lifting weights. They were, in some cases, taking lots of steroids and performance enhancing drugs. And like, I know there's some doubt or some question as to what exactly the benefit or efficacy of these performance enhancing drugs are or were. But I think looking at some of these guys, we could possibly conclude that some of them were hitting the ball harder.
Yeah.
And so how does that balance out against maybe fewer performance enhancing drugs being used right now? We hope. But better health regimens, better knowledge of batted ball data, swing planes, swing path, all that sort of stuff. So
I think we're also just seeing more athletes.
No question.
Like think about some of these guys and like how they're physically put together. Like the steroid guys are like, if I just become a mountain of a human being, then I can hit the ball very far, which is true. You can do that. But you can't do that today. You can't just take a bunch of steroids and gain 55 pounds of muscle and start cranking homers. But some of the guys now, that it's just quick twitch muscles. Like they're not, like if you look at Mookie Betts, like, yeah, he's very athletic looking. You wouldn't be like, oh, this dude looks like he's a bodybuilder. This dude could be a professional wrestler or something like that. He's not wiry, but he looks, if you looked at Mookie Betts, you'd be like, well, I can't tell what sport he plays. He just looks like an athlete.
Absolutely.
Oneil Cruz, like some of these guys, it's like they're not built like these mountain men, and they're just figuring, all right, yeah, like quick twitch muscles and being quick to the ball and being able to just lightning quick hands, all that shit.
I mean, I think you're dead right, and I think I mean this can be represented in lots of different ways, and we've talked about the stars that are at their best, but like, I pulled up the wins above replacement leaderboard from like the basically 25 years ago era, like back end of the, back end, I guess, whatever, middle back end of the steroid era. And just to use 2001 as an example, here are the league leaders that season: Bonds, Sosa, Giambi, Luis Gonzalez, A-Rod, Brett Boone, Larry Walker. This is kind of later career Larry Walker, Albert Pujols, Rich Aurilia, Todd Helton. I mean, the leader in stolen bases of that group is A-Rod with 18. And I know stolen bases is not the most important stat and certainly not the most important to winning, but like it is definitely a reflection of athleticism or the prioritization of athleticism or the star level. And like, and I'm not cherry picking 01. You could go back to 02. You could go back to 2000. It's basically the same story where the best players in the league were, to your point, largely muscled up freaks.
Burly men.
Yep. And I enjoyed watching that for a long time, but I think the level of, dynamic athlete now is incomparable to what it used to be.
Yeah. And it's more fun to watch. It's like a more complete game, like a Bobby Witt Jr. He can hit homers, totally. He can hit doubles, he can play great defense, he can steal bases, he's great going first and third. Like, that's the type of player that the MLB is marketing as their stars. I mean, like, they have plenty of one-dimensional home run hitting lunkheads, but like those aren't the guys that are viewed as stars in the game anymore.
No, and I would actually prefer, if I'm being totally honest, a few more home run hitting lunkheads than we currently have, but not necessarily at the expense of, the type of star that's blossoming right now with as you said, Bobby Witt, Corbin Carroll, Fernando Tatis, Ellie De La Cruz, all these sorts of like guys that are threats to go. The baseline expectation for their seasons now are like 30-30.
Yeah, like, I mean, Judge is a great overall player. Ohtani is a great overall player. Juan Soto, I guess you could say he's one-dimensional in the sense that he's just an offensive player, but he's not just a home run guy. Like, he can get on base. And Ozuna. Schwarber.
Yeah, and I guess I understand the seasons that those guys are having, like, right this second. I just don't know that in my head those guys are on the caliber of the slugger that we're talking about. But that's the trade-off,
No.
right? Like that sort of
Yeah.
person has been deprioritized and kind of trained or phased out of the game, and we get people like James Wood instead who do, as you said, do both, are massive, massive human beings, but also have 7 stolen bases through 53 games and hit 284.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the Chris Davises of the world, we're not going to see that anymore.
No, I mean Gallo, I know just kind of recently
He's a
phased
pitcher.
out. Yeah, I know. Yeah. That breed. I'm optimistic that we'll see that kind of player again. I just don't know that we're ever getting back to an era where the best players in the league are, you know, muscle bound, 42 home run hitting corner bats.
Yeah.
Probably for the better.
Yeah. It's like, you look at the dude, Shohei Ohtani, it's like, all right, yeah, fucking 54 bombs, but he also stole 59 bags. He created a category unto himself.
And it's not like Ohtani's, some shrimp guy either, right? Like he's not a small person. Larry Walker was a guy that we cited in there. Like Ohtani is listed as both taller and heavier than Larry Walker. So it's not like these guys are necessarily like not impressive, large human beings. It's just that they can also, and I know Larry Walker had a 40-30 season as well. So, but not everybody's like little Corbin Carroll.
No. Well, this is a fun tangent.
Yeah, of course. We always find our way into these.
Yeah. I hope Dallas finds his way into the light again. I feel like
or the hospital, like whatever is needed. Like it is. I'm pretty sure
unlike him.
They're in Houston now, so he's not even on sack time. It's noon. It's 12. Well, Houston Central. It's 11:30.
It's 11:30. Are the A's playing today? Is today an off day?
Oh, maybe today's a travel day.
Yeah, they're not playing today. So, yeah, the A's first win in almost 2 weeks plus an A's off day equals he's gonna have to find the Lord when he wakes up.
Yeah. Well, if he lands and decides that he's got some takes he really can't hold in until Wednesday, then I'm happy to fire it up again and get a kind of like a version 2 out to complement this excellent pod that you and I have delivered.
I mean, they're always excellent with us. So
I agree.
That part really was not something that I was like, oh my God, like, no Dallas, how are we going to be able to do this? Like, oh, it was more like, no Dallas, all right, we got to give them that J and J and J flavor that they've been asking for.
That's right. As Rick Sutcliffe famously says, less of you is more of me. And that's my comment to Dallas if he's listening.
He's not. I don't think he's ever gone back and listened to an episode.
Listen to one pod.
No. Yeah.
You're probably right.
Yeah. Jake, how you feeling about no Dallas today?
I mean, I think he's just pissed about Roman Anthony not getting called up, so he's just protesting.
Yeah. That's how I feel today. I mean,
I'm a little mad.
But yeah, you should be more mad than me.
I mean, I fired off a snarky tweet and that satisfied it yesterday. But I'm disappointed. Like I don't ultimately care whether I'm right about a preseason podcast prediction, but
I do.
I'd like to see I care about it generally. I don't care about one specific prediction, but I don't. I'd like to see the best players, and particularly on a team that I invested, some trust in at the beginning of the season in terms of their performance, and that I was waking up and asking myself as we were going through the rundown today whether the Rays are actually the second best or the best threat to the Yankees in the division now is not where I thought I would be on May 26th.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're at where we're at. Yeah. Hopefully there's some moves soon though.
Yeah, I don't want to rub it in. I know you You cover this extensively on your other podcast. Fine product.
It's a decent product. I mean, usually I want at least 1 or 2 LOL moments on like the down in the dumps episodes, but I don't know that we delivered that on this one. It was kind of just it was very heavily down in the dumps. At least
I'll check out the Reddit and see what positive things are being said on there, because
it's nothing but positivity over there.
Yeah, Section 10 Reddit's usually good stuff.
Yeah, they're usually just super positive over there.
Well, that's when people are passionate about things, it cuts both ways. So it's also it's a reflection of the environment that you've cultivated, that people care so much.
Yeah.
If people don't care, they won't comment.
That's right. There's a silver lining.
Yeah, I had something else to say about the Red Sox or what we were talking about, but it seems to have slipped my mind for now, so we can move on.
All right. Well, if you happen to think of it while you're going through the Nuggs, yeah, please let me know.
Let's do it. So we were talking about the big dumper earlier, and I made a remark about how he's on track for one of the great offensive seasons at his position in baseball history. In terms of catchers in the live ball era in AL or NL, the only season that would surpass Raleigh's current 176 OPS plus is Mike Piazza's 1997 with the Dodgers, where he put up a 185. That was his 40 homer, 124 RBI, 362, 1.070 OPS season. He would finish second. It was his second consecutive runner-up finish in the MVP. But anyway, that's some context on Raleigh. The Rockies, they last won a series. Have you seen this? I know everybody's on to the worst starts, and they have continued that. They are off to the worst 53 game start in MLB history at 9-44. So congrats to them. But did you also see that they've now lost 20 consecutive series? And the last time they won a series was September 16th through the 18th of last season.
That's more recently than I would have guessed.
Yeah, it's the D-backs. But that is, they've lost 20 straight. So we shall see how things go here. I don't love their chances of snapping that streak, because they've got those Cubbies starting this week.
That could be an old-fashioned slugfest,
Well, a one-sided slugfest, I believe, because one of those teams has an excellent offense, the best in the league, arguably.
Yeah,
and one of them is just a Coors Field team that actually has one of the worst offenses in the league, and arguably the worst offense, depending on what number you want to look at. So it should be good.
I don't know that there was like an actual wager place, but didn't we kind of throw it out there that the Rockies wouldn't have double-digit wins by the end of the month?
I don't remember that there was a real wager either, but that conversation definitely happened. And I don't even know that I expressed my opinion on it, but I would have said that they do not get to double-digit wins. So that's still very much, they've got one over the weekend. So yeah,
it's in play.
We'll see how it goes. But Cubbies, tonight might be their best chance. Tyone against Carson Palmquist in his third career start. First two have gone very poorly. Speaking of the Rockies, not yesterday's game, but a game over the weekend. Games with 20 hits allowed at home. So you bring out your home fans, everybody's excited, and then you allow 20 or more hits in a game. The Rockies franchise started in 1993. So from 1993 to 2025, the Rockies have done that 47 times. The next closest team in baseball has done it only 28 times. So as you'd expect, they are in their own class in terms of embarrassingly terrible performances by their pitching staff at home. Mason Miller rebounded yesterday, but the day before was kind of another shaky outing. And I'm obviously not here to cast shade on a friend of the podcast and all that sort of stuff. But it did occur to me from a weird statistical perspective that he's striking out an enormous number of batters for a guy with an ERA as high as it was. So I looked at pitchers that had 35 or more strikeouts and a 6+ ERA in 20 or fewer innings pitched over an 18 appearance span in the wild card. Rewind that if you need to. The only 3 instances of that are Mason Miller this season, Josh James in 2019, and Matt Barnes in 2018. obviously very optimistic about Mason in general, but kind of a weird, frustrating start to his season. And then some credit to two AL lefties here. Chris Bubic, 1.45 ERA. That's the second lowest now in Royals franchise history through the first 11 starts of the season. That's behind only, as you probably guessed, Zack Greinke's Cy Young winning campaign from 2009 when he had a 1.10 ERA. And between Bubic and Max Fried, we have two of the great starts for left-handed pitchers through 11 starts in recent baseball history. Lowest ERAs by a left-handed pitcher through the first 11 starts of the last 25 years. Max Fried at 1.29 this season, Randy Johnson in 2000 at 1.33, and Chris Bubic this season at 1.45. So two of the top three this season. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, but that is, the potential certainly for the Bubic, Cole Reagans top of the rotation there. If the Royals can ever get their offense figured out, as we discussed earlier in the pod, then that would certainly put some fright into me if I'm a team facing them in the postseason, but got to get that offense going first. But those are the Nuggs.
Thank you, Justin Havens.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'm surprised. I'm surprised we didn't get our pal Dallas. I thought he would have regained consciousness at some point.
Yeah. Well,
A's off day, brother. A's off day, holiday, A's win after losing 11 straight. It was the perfect storm to lose them on this one.
Hopefully
he's
things
alive.
go. Yeah, hopefully things go okay Tuesday in Houston. JP Sears against Hunter Brown, because I certainly want to see him on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
It would be
rooting
nice.
for the A's. Rooting for Dallas, rooting for the A's.
Always root for Dallas. One of his biggest supporters.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a final thought at all, Jayhay?
Oh, excited for another week of baseball, as I'm sure you are.
As always, yeah.
Yep, the Guardians, tough start, but always fun for the fans to bring Shohei Ohtani and the crew into town. So I'm looking forward to catching a little Guardians Dodgers to start the week. Quickly, other series that I think are reasonably interesting that start, and we obviously have a lot of day games today, so they start pretty soon. The Giants and the Tigers start a series that is, at least on paper, pretty dang interesting. And then what was the other one? That's it. At least for right now.
That's it.
I mean, there are other series obviously that are happening, but in terms of series that start today, I think those are the most interesting.
My final thought, Melanie Newman, Orioles broadcaster. Also, she's done like some of the Apple TV games. She got hit with a Rob Refsnyder foul ball. Took it like a champ. Shout out to Melanie for just eating that one off the side of the dome. Glad it wasn't a bad injury. I think she did end up in the hospital, but she's good. She's good. So shout out to Melanie for that. Also, I think that there was did you see the video of the college pitcher that lost his no-hitter on, it was like a base hit to the right side, but the ball hit the runner. So it's an automatic hit.
No.
Yeah. Tough way. Because I think like they came out of the dugout and they were celebrating it because if the ball hits the runner, then the runner is out, but the batter is credited with a hit. So that's how he lost his no-hitter.
I did not see that. My immediate reaction is that while a tough pill to swallow in the moment for that young man, I would argue that this is maybe a better story in the long term for him to be able to, fireside, come round and hear this tale sort of thing. This is probably a more interesting story because the other one's like I threw a no-hitter. Right. And that's interesting up to a point, right?
I mean, there's certain people that threw no-hitters, I don't know, 20 years ago that still kind of talk about it to this day. And I don't know. If it were me, I'd probably rather have the no-hitter, no?
Oh, yeah. I'd rather have it. I'm just trying to find a silver lining.
Yeah. Yeah, because if I were him, I would be complaining about that to this day.
I wonder what Armando, speaking of Galarragas, I wonder what Armando Galarraga is up to now that we've stumbled onto this kind of ruined perfect game no-hitter conversation. Because
did they do a special on him recently?
That's a guy that I think, they talked about like, oh, he's actually more famous because it was ruined. And I get it. But like, he can't walk around and say that I'm not misremembering. It was a perfect game, right?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. That is a devastation on a level that I just like, I think is a magnitude higher than even a no-hitter. And I'm not dismissing this young man's heartbreak, but like, I think about that Armando Galarraga thing like once every couple of months during the baseball season. It's just like, I mean, it would be totally different now with replay, right?
Yes. Also, I mean, he didn't parlay that quote unquote fame into anything.
No, which I kind of respect too, in a way. Like, maybe that's just what he wanted, or maybe he tried and it didn't work. I have no really idea, but
yeah, maybe he auditioned to be the co-host on Starting Nine. I know that like Dallas would just be some bum from Stockton if he didn't throw that perfect game. Like he wouldn't be a podcaster.
No, we would never have even gotten him on as a guest.
No. If like an agency offered up Dallas, like, hey, we have Dallas Bray, remember him? I'd be like, no, I don't. Oh,
no.
the fucking toothless fuck that gave up the home runs to Maglio Ordonez.
Yeah, I'd be like,
we're good, dude.
What does that guy want to come on and be like, let's talk about the book or something?
Yeah.
Like, no,
yeah.
I'm not entertaining some washed up,
right.
kind
of. Oh, that crackhead from Stockton that got his area code tattooed on his stomach. No, we're good, dude.
Tell the agent I'm more interested in interviewing his grandmother.
Yeah, exactly. Like
that's
a real legend. A real legend.
Yeah, let's hear her story. I don't care about this other dude.
Yeah. Her story of survival, having to live with Dallas.
Yeah.
For as long as she has.
That's the story I'm talking about. I'm sure she has a very compelling other story, but I'm talking about her current struggle living with Dallas.
Right. Yeah, I mean, throwing a perfect game, it does make a difference.
It made a huge difference for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it may have made a huge difference for Armando Galarraga. We'll never know.
Truly, we'll never know. Jake, book Armando Galarraga. I'd like to talk to him about this.
That's kind of a real request. I'm gonna like second that one and say we should actually book Armando Galarraga because I want to hear how he's processed this.
Do you think that was a fake request that I just made?
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes we ask Jake to do that stuff, and I feel like it's more like a hi hello.
Well, he's working on it. He's working.
I'm not saying he's not working on it. These are very difficult requests in a lot of cases. I think. We've asked for Obama. We've asked.
Well, Obama's a White Sox fan, so that's the connection. Like maybe he'd be interested in talking ball.
No, and I understand. And sometimes when you have like 85 requests out, a lot of people say you have 0 requests.
Right.
So what I'm saying more is that to clarify, let's prioritize Armando Galarraga and make this a top of line item, maybe even above, the Obamas and the, I think we had one for The Rock as well.
Yeah. Jake, cancel the Obama request if you could. And could you shift Galarraga to the top?
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, Jake, cancel Obama.
Nothing to do about Jake's grind set mentality,
No, I mean, he's got a lot of shit going on. And, maybe it wasn't fair to put The Rock and Obama on his plate at the same time.
No, we probably need maybe a booking intern to handle like the Obama interactions, maybe.
I think Jake's got it. It's just like he probably didn't get. I bet you Jake didn't even ask Obama yet because he
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he was working The Rock.
Yeah, let's be clear. There's no way that Jake would have asked Obama and Obama would have rebuffed Jake.
Right.
Right. So the assumption is that it just hasn't gotten to the priority list yet, which I understand.
Jake, who's on the top of the priority list right now after Galarraga?
It was Obama, so we're going to move off that. Okay. I think might have to book Dallas at this point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We might have to get Dallas, talk to his representatives to get him back on this podcast.
Well, I think we proved today that if those negotiations don't well, that you and I have something special here. And obviously Jake too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the guy wins one baseball game and he's just
balloon head.
Yeah. Well, they say winning doesn't change people. We know that that's no longer true or never was true, in my opinion.
Yeah. Dallas is now, if you were playing GoldenEye and went into big head mode, that's
right.
So we'll start calling him Odd Job.
Mm-hmm. He is He is a little fella.
He is kind of, you could put him in your pocket sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of view all you guys in a sense, but that we don't have to get into that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna shower and go to this barbecue that I think just spawned out of nowhere. I think my parents are gonna have a barbecue today, and I would love to eat some cheeseburgers.
I hope you have a great time. Tell your family, at least the ones that know me, that I said hello.
Oh, who doesn't know you, Jayhay?
Probably most of your family.
No, they all do. I think it's just gonna be my parents and my sister. And
oh, well, at least
Yeah.
your parents do.
Yeah.
And yeah, looking forward to Wednesday.
yeah, it's gonna be great.
We'll
Jake's
see who
takes?
shows up.
Yeah, that's true. Jake?
Thoughts and prayers to the little guy, Dallas Braden, wherever he may be.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll see you guys there.
All right, we gone.